All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove this door panel here. We've got a window motor issue on this car. As you can see, it kind of has an issue with going up towards the top. It won't go all the way up and actually seal the window. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that window motor. So what we'll start with is we'll take this, if you have a mock audio sound system on here, you're gonna go ahead and pull this cover off here first, and then you'll pull off this cover and then the one for the door handle here, and then there should be a few retaining fasteners that hold that door panel on, and then it just pulls right up, pops off. So we'll go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so that just pops straight off. You'll just pull that directly forward. I took a screwdriver, a small screwdriver, and you just kind of pry underneath. So there's these little ledges here that kind of hold this in place. And then you'll have one screw here. That is a Phillips head screw. And that will pull up and out. Looks like that was actually disconnected at some point. Looks like we didn't even have to disconnect the connector, so I don't believe that speaker is ever working.
It wasn't.
All right, so the next step is this just pops out like that. I mean, this one's pretty well gone, but it just has like a retaining tab. You'll pull that tab out and then pull up and out, and then you'll have a couple of connectors here. As you can see, someone's been in here before, tried to repair it with some type of adhesive. But you'll have a connector here, and then these two Phillips head style screws to remove, and that will disconnect it from the panel. Then a small screwdriver kind of help you remove that there. So it should. There we go. All right. There's usually some hardware retaining this thing in place. You'll have to pop that screw out. Get around it with this pry tool. Give yourself a little bit more room to work here. As you can see, someone has left the hardware out of this thing previously. It looks like it's actually a different door from another car. I assume this thing's been in an accident at some point because it's missing some seals and whatnot. We'll go ahead and look around for any hardware that may actually be attached. Usually there's a couple of retaining screws right in this area. So there's going to be one screw actually right here, right on this panel. It's going to be a Phillips head style screw also. Just pull it off and then go up. Helps get a pry tool also. You want to put something here to kind of protect the door, keep it from like hitting on stuff, rubbing on the lip. That's why I put this little pad here. Nice. So there'll be 4 retaining screws on this speaker here. They're Phillips head style also. So you'll just remove those, and then this connector here, and that'll pop right out. So what we're going to do is we're going to reach back behind in here. There's going to be 3, as you can see right here, 3 Phillips head style screws that hold the window motor in place. They come in through the back side, so you're gonna have like a short screwdriver to reach back in there and then break them loose and then pull them out. Most of these stubby screwdrivers will actually fit inside a wrench or a socket, so you can actually break them loose with this as well. Now it is kind of a cramped space to get in here, but you can break them loose. And I'll do it with this. I'll do it with this anyways, just to kind of show it can be done instead of just taking the easy route with this tool. Even though it'd be easier on me, but you know, it's a Blue Point tool. They're kind of expensive, whereas a wrench and a stubby screwdriver probably, you know, 15, 20 bucks. I think this was like 60, which, you know, it's Blue Point, so it's going to be obviously way overpriced. But there's options. You can do things in a pinch to kind of help ease the removal and install for this regulator assembly. A lot of it is by feel, unfortunately. There's 3, and the window motor hit the bottom of the door panel. This is going to be your connector here for the window motor. So you're just going to pull that tab up and then pull out. Drop that through there. There's your window motor. Here we have an aftermarket motor. Obviously it's a little bit different. Actually, it's quite a bit different. So we were pulling the motor out. We were inspecting the teeth on the regulator. We actually found out that it had chewed up a bunch of the teeth on the regulator itself. So we're just going to replace the whole regulator assembly. Is what we ended up doing. I'll show you where all the mounting hardware is. So with this, you have these 2 bolts here, or 2 nuts here. You'll unbolt that, push the bracket off. You have this mounting bolt here, this mounting bolt here for the regulator, and then this mounting nut and mounting nut here for the regulator assembly. So you can see right here, those 2 bolts go here, those 2 nuts go here, and then I took the track off for this one just to get it to slide out a little bit easier, but that just sits right there. And then we ended up having to drill out the rivets. As you can see right here, we ended up having to use hardware. There's a nut on the back side of this, so we had to drill out factory rivets, or I assume they're factory rivets, and then put I think this is a metric 6x10 thread pitch. We just used what came off of the old motor and then put a nut on the back side to hold it in place here. And then you'll fold these tabs up in place, which we'll do here in a second. And there is another bit of hardware here for this front side. As you can see right in here, kind of hard to see. Did the same thing there. There's a rivet there you have to drill out. Make sure you have a long enough drill bit to actually reach it. I did kind of rough up the paint around here a little bit, but this is also a salvage title car. The door's messed up on it. I think partially the issue, what was causing this, was it was binding up. I think there might not be some stuff completely right with this door. So, but we got the regulator on. Window goes up and down. So we tried to unbolt it and then kind of like let it settle a little bit, kind of help see if it was binding any. It seems like it was binding a little bit, so we kind of adjusted the hardware, put it in the best spot possible for the regulator itself. Unfortunately, it's not the best fix, but with it being a wrecked vehicle, you can kind of see here where it's kind of uneven on the side of the body. We even have a salvage sticker here, kind of make it the best out of a bad situation, but the window does go up and down. I don't know if we'll have the repeat issue, but hopefully we don't. It seems to go up a little bit smoother. You want to make sure you get this lock rod poked up through this hole, so put it in the unlock position, feed it through that hole there. There you go. They drop onto those hooks, pick up, and then you pull out. As you can see, this isn't going to be the best install because this car has got a lot of issues, but we're going to put it back together how it came apart the best way we can. We'll have to get more trim screws for it. Unfortunately, I don't have any trim screws, but I'll have to get some more to mount that speaker on, and then I'll have to get some to actually mount the bezeling for the speaker. As you saw, it was held on by one rivet, and then one rivet that was partially drilled through and partially installed. So you'll just install all your hardware, which should be this, and there is usually one right there, but it's missing from this one. Speaker assembly, which is kind of pointless to put on because this car has the mock audio sound system, but the door they took this off of doesn't even have the wiring for it, so they didn't even transfer the wiring to it. But we're going to put it back on there because we don't actually have a cover for it, so we're going to have to source a door harness for a mock audio system so we can put it on the vehicle so it'll actually work properly. So another thing we're finding out here. Alright, well, it's back on. Aside from the window being motor fixed, I mean, it still has the same trim problems, trim pulling up around the corners, still doesn't have that tweeter hooked up because it doesn't have a wiring harness for it. But I mean, the window works, so I guess we did what we needed to do. Okay, so something we found out that was a bit different on these regulators. These aftermarket regulators, they kind of just put whatever parts are on there. This is actually a smaller motor assembly. It's got different teeth counts, and it's actually, I mean, they look similar here at these 3 points, but it's actually a different bolt pattern. So it's not going to line up. So whenever you're pulling your regulator apart, kind of keep an eye out for that. I guess on the factory forged stuff, the bolts are supposed to come from the front side. These come from the back side. We tried cross-referencing this part number. It's a trim motor for a Sea-Doo, so a jet ski part. Which kind of sucks because nobody's going to have that locally, and Mustangs are pretty common cars, so you would think this motor would fit with that, but there is a difference to them. It does not line up on the bolts for this, as you can see, and that dowel does not line up. It is just barely off. You can see it lines up half here, not at all there, not at all there. So when you put this one on here, of course it's going to line up because they made it to work with it. So keep an eye out. You may have had a aftermarket regulator put into your car, and a factory style motor assembly is not going to fit that. So you may end up having to go with the whole regulator anyways. We ended up having to go with one anyways because of the teeth were chewed off here. So that's just something to kind of keep an eye out for. It's a difference in manufacturers. They don't have to really comply with the exact OE style design. It's just got to be close enough. That is something kind of, I guess, you got to keep an eye out for. Spent a few hours trying to source one locally, and we did find a regulator assembly. Got it put on there, so and it works now. So I guess we'll just go with that route.